all these years later, it is the reminder of the promise God kept. Because I said, God, if you can get my speech back and get me back on the air, I promise I will tell my story.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ageless, Fearless, and Unscripted. I am Dr. Cheryl Williamson, and I am thrilled to have an amazing woman in the studio with me today, and that is Portia Bruner.
Hey.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, girl, hey.
How are you?
Splendid. As a matter of fact, I make me feeling, I don't know, ageless, fearless, and unscripted. I'm so excited to be here with you, seriously.
I am excited that you are here with me because I have to tell you, when I come in the studio to do your show, you give me such energy and such love. And I feel so blessed by God to have that opportunity to have you be a part of something that I know that He placed in my heart.
I appreciate that. And I can only, what you are getting from me is what you are giving to me. And so it is really, the Ubuntu principle there is just a given with you. You always come and you pour into me and you pour into the viewers. And so I know how, I don't want to say draining, but that kindred spirits, we need to replenish each other as well. Yes. So that's why I try to, because I know you about to drop a whole lot and leave it all on the floor. So I like to be intentional about that, but it's not hard or forced.
Absolutely.
Because you're just getting that light that God is shining through you. It's just me bouncing it back off.
And you just set me up right for my very first question for you, Portia.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm so excited.
I'm ready.
Your show is a daily dose of positivity. What has been your personal dose of joy?
So, personal source of joy inside of the show space or big picture, my life?
You know what? We haven't even told you, viewers, Portia, tell them about the show because I brought up something that they might not even
Well,
know
if you
about.
insist.
Yes, so, baby, I insist.
We're in our third season. The show is called Porsha. I always say the show, it's eponymous, right? But just because it's called Porsha doesn't mean it's about me. That is literally just because people recognize, because I've worked in this market as an anchor and reporter in Atlanta for so long, but the show is about us.
Yes.
It is a story of women and the men, women and children and mothers and aunties and grandpas and sister friends we love. And after years of, covering news, because I've been doing this as a journalist since I graduated from Howard in '95. So you cover and you meet a lot of people on the worst days of their lives and end up spending, a whole lot of time hoping and wishing you could get to cover something positive. So when the station came to me and said, we want to do something, we see your connection with the community. I thank God for that. That's not me. That is straight conduit of God. We want to do something that highlights the stories of African-American women in Atlanta. And in season 1, it did well. The show did well. The conversation seemed to resonate and connect. And then Fox Soul picked it up in other cities. So it's just an honor to get to tell our stories. And I appreciate you pointing to the positivity of it. We do call it a daily dose of positivity because we know what people are seeing. Yes. We know what people are experiencing. We know what season we're all in right now. And there is a thirst for something that replenishes, something that makes you smile, makes you feel better, makes you feel seen and heard in spaces. And even though, black is black, all in, we're going to win, right?
Yes,
but we have to kind of keep reminding each other of that in spaces where it feels like we're under assault.
Yes.
With the ability to model what inclusivity looks like, right? So many times the stories we're talking about, even though it may have our angle, there's a really strong possibility that people from other backgrounds are still going to connect, right? Breast cancer happens to every group, disproportionately with us, but that has to do with health disparities. So we have that conversation and add the health disparity conversation to it. But it ends with but you're not dying from it, you're living with it. And so we try to be very intentional about the language so that people feel inspired at the end of every show, no matter how heavy the topic is. And it airs weekdays in Atlanta, Oakland, San Francisco area, as well as Orlando, and weeknights on Fox Soul. And apparently on weekends too. My mama says she sees it all the time on the weekends overnight. Thanks, Mom. And thank you for asking.
Of course. And you know what's so incredible? Because I want to talk to you about this unapologetic joy and this laughter. And I know that sometimes you describe yourself as that unapologetically silly and fun. How important is that to keep this type of playful nature, and especially at a time like this?
It is critically important. And I think what surprises me, I didn't realize how many people used to say, I didn't realize you were so, I may not be the funniest woman in the room. I'd like to think so in my own head. But people didn't realize it because everything I was covering was serious, right? It was Portia Bruner, Fox 5 News, with flames behind me, crash behind me, sadness behind me. And so I've always known how to meet and match the tone, understand, so that you're not conveying levity when something is heavy. But I have always, on the inside, been this goofy girl from Denver, Colorado, right? Who can't really dance, who loves 80s music, who, if Take On Me by A-ha comes out, I start pop blocking. You know what I mean? It's a whole crazy thing. But I've also realized that it gives people the safe space to sort of be whoever they really are.
Absolutely.
So, of course, I've got serious Portia. But inside, I'm just this woman who finally figured out how to be my authentic self.
Yes.
Without explaining what my version of authenticity looks like. And hopefully you just feel it and get a sense of it. But I also have to make sure, if I say at the end of the show, this is Positively Portia, I'm always intentional about making sure that you've got to model that.
Absolutely.
You've got to be that. And so it's why even, sometimes before the interviews, I try to read the energy of the room. You know how you can tell when somebody's nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And so do just that, right? It's just the gentle touch.
Absolutely.
It's the, hey, I want to remind you you're here because God put you here in this spot. Even if it's let's into your nose, out through your mouth, because a laugh always brings down the level of anxiety. And it took me a while to figure that out. But as soon as then I'm like, okay, start. So it helps. It helps.
Does.
And it helps me, right? Because then you understand this. When you listen to people's stories.
Oh, yes.
If you're an empath, you don't just, oh man, that must have been rough. Okay, we'll be right back. You have to honor the story that they're sharing with you. And if you are, then you're taking in some of it. But you don't want to be, the journalist in me never wants to become a part of the story. So I try not to cry with you because it's, oh my gosh, you made Portia cry. This isn't about Portia. This is about Cheryl. This is Cheryl's story today. Be sure to watch that episode. You know what I mean?
Don't we love her?
So that's why I try to bring humor and laughter into the space.
And you do, because you brought humor and laughter into this space from the moment that we said hello. And I love that. And we know that in many cases, life brings us things that are not humorous.
Right.
In 2017, your body sent you a message with the diagnosis of psychogenetic stuttering. Mm-hmm. What was that moment like, and what did it teach you about slowing down?
God, I thank you. God, I thank you. So let me be very clear. Even talking about it, because I remember it. Let me explain what it is first.
Okay.
And please don't be alarmed, because psychogenic stuttering can be triggered by sudden emotional, like if someone came in here, and was trying to cause us harm. I'm going to keep it together, but my brain is going to just have a little bit of a misfire in a synapse, which causes a disfluency in my speech. But what a neurologist figured out was I cannot stutter and snap my fingers at the same time. So I'm saying this all to say, if I get emotional in telling the story and I'm snapping, don't be alarmed. It's just how my brain stops the stutter. Because my brain's like, we can't stutter and snap at the same time. And I got to get this story out.
Yes.
But I do get full because all these years later, it is the reminder of the promise God kept. Because I said, God, if you can get my speech back and get me back on the air, I promise I will tell my story. So I'm a little full in this moment, because I remember making that promise, sitting on the side of the bed, wondering if I was going to be able to report again.
Yes.
So the setup then is I was getting ready for a noon live shot, had just gotten an exclusive interview with a law enforcement officer who had some very heartbreaking details about the arrest of a father who had done some horrible things to his infant. And this father had been, for a week and some change, a part of the news story searching for his child's remains. And so to hear, I mean, you know, sometimes you start to figure out that this is about to go. So we did the interview. The law enforcement officer reached out to me because he said he'd appreciated how kind I was and wasn't really aggressive with the family beforehand. So reached out and said, we've made an arrest. And I'd like to give you the exclusive because I know everybody else is going to come with that sticking the mic in your face approach. And this is hard for our guys too. So I did the interview and we got everything squared away. I said, this is important stuff. I called back, listen, we can be the lead. I've got the interview. We're going to turn around a soundbite, get it to you, give you the background, and we'll give you the rest later on, you know, more coming up at 4, 5, and 6, right? That's how it was supposed to go. I did the interview at around 11:05 with my photographer. We're turning around the soundbite. By 11:38, when I'm getting ready to do the live shot, I didn't hear, but my photographer was like, Portia, what is wrong with you? Why do you sound like that? And I was like, what's wrong? Literally. He's like, you're stuttering. No, I'm not. Come on, we got to get ready for this live shot. And I was so laser-like competitive just with my last self, right? Yeah. Not necessarily with what other station's about to pull up. I mean, I've already got the story. But I felt like at that time, the best thing I was doing was reporting. And the best thing I was doing was storytelling, because I was, you know, coming out of a divorce, which made me feel like a failure as a wife. I'm now co-parenting because I have a great husband, right? So he's got half custody, I've got custody. But what do I do on these days where I'm not parenting, where they're not with me? So what I can do every day is still show up as a good reporter, because clearly I messed up as a mom and a wife if I couldn't keep the father wanting to stay close. So that was my mind then. Now I just realized some stuff just doesn't work out. God's assignment was us for these 2 great kids, and then here we are. Exactly. But at that time, you're just feeling like a big failure. Yes. So let me get this story on first, right? Let me tell it with the compassion that it deserves and help the community recognize the heartache that they're about to feel, because they were feeling for this father, not knowing that I don't even have to say allegedly anymore. He's in jail. Yes. But all of that turned into, I can be live. What's wrong, Lloyd? I'm ready to go. He calls the manager. He was like, listen, we cannot do this live shot. I really feel like she might be having a stroke. Because at that point, my face looks like it's, you know, sort of presenting as aphasia. It's pulling over.
Right.
I didn't want to see that. I didn't want anything else to be wrong with me. I'm divorced and I'm co-parenting. That sounds like horrible in my head, right? Because I got married thinking you get married, you stay married, and then you raise kids every day, and then you go out and cover news. So long story short, I wasn't live that day. And we went to the doctor. We went to, neurologist. There were no strokes. They did all the scans. And they were like, nothing is wrong with your brain. There's no stroke. There's no mini stroke. There's nothing. You need to go see a neurologist. Within about a week, they asked me, what else have you been doing? Well, you've been covering a child's murder. You have been carrying grief of a marriage that you really haven't processed. And you are carrying guilt because you work late and can't get home enough in time to be able to have more custody. And you're looking at all of this as sin or something wrong. And finally, your body just says, God says, let me just sit you down for a minute.
Ooh, and when he does that.
And so it was 3 months of speech therapy, learning how to meditate, trying to figure out, do we need, some NSAIDs here? And because I had a history of depression, I knew I did not want to take medicine. And there's nothing wrong with it, right?
Yes.
Thank God for the physicians who have learned how to prescribe and help us regulate things. Yes. But I also knew that they turned down my personality in a way that's not aligned with who I really show up as. So God, can you show me how to figure this part out without the medicine this time? Yes. So that was learning how to pray a lot more intentionally and meditate and recenter, which is why you'll see me before a show. Even before this, let me recenter, right? Because I was coming out, I don't want to be late. I don't want to, I know she's got this tight schedule. I'm the last one. I know what it's like to talk. Let me recenter. So I put all that on the table to explain. For me, it was understanding if you don't take care of stress, stress will take care of you.
That is the fact. I know we're in a deep conversation right now, but I want you to take a break, pull yourself together in this moment, because I know we've shared a lot with you.
Yeah.
And join us back here in just a few minutes. We're going to take a commercial break and hear from our sponsors.
For many women, a mammogram starts long before the scan. It begins with anxiety over exposure. Traditional gowns can feel cold and impersonal, but there's a better way. The mammo gown is thoughtfully designed with full front and back coverage, a center front opening, and soft, non-clinical fabric, making every woman feel secure, respected, and confident during her screening. And it's more than a gown. It's a movement. Gift one for yourself and one for a friend. Order your mammo gown today and buy one for a friend. Give a gown, save a life. Visit modestymammogown.com.
So thank you for coming back with us. We are so glad that you have the courage to realize that we have something to share with you today that is life-changing. Portia, in our last segment, we were talking about depression and what that feels like, and you were speaking about having a history of depression.
Yes.
I have to tell you that I honor you in this space because I have battled depression myself. And people feel that they can't share that with anybody because, what are people going to think?
You're so strong. How could that happen to you?
Right?
Is that what you get? Or that's what you feel like?
Yes.
And you feel like you got to show up as the superhero with that cape flowing in the background with, biceps and pecs that I don't quite have.
Absolutely.
Because we think that the depression is what made us stronger.
Yes.
The depression is the foundation. And it doesn't mean you have to go through it to be stronger. But I think most people have gone through it and just don't recognize that's what it was.
And that's a fact.
Because our mothers went through it.
Yes.
But they didn't get to take time off to go to therapy.
No.
They had to be back at work. My mother's a nurse.
Absolutely.
It was 3 to 11, 11 to 7, or 7 to 3. Which one is it going to be? And food's going to be in the refrigerator when you get home, right? So and she's a Vietnam War veteran, right? My mom was a flight nurse in Vietnam. So that's drop down, get them, patch them back up.
So that's a whole nother level.
That's a whole nother level. But as a kid, you don't know what that looks like. And so you are mindful, but whatever your mama did is what you do, right? So mama
brush it off and go
we're
on.
just going to deal with whatever's,
Absolutely. And how did you recognize and call it out as depression? Because I think sometimes people disguise it or brush it off. And I think if we have this conversation and call it out and what it looks like, it'll help somebody today.
So I will be honest and say, I don't know that I recognized that it was depression and generalized anxiety disorder. I just knew that I felt that my dreams and my aspirations felt trapped in somebody who could not execute what it is I knew I was supposed to be doing. So there was a job fair. I was a senior at Howard University getting ready to graduate, right? That's the job fair where you go in that new suit that your mama bought you.
White. Crisp blouse.
Right. You're going in looking like you are ready to
Looking
be.
like new money, right?
Yes. I am going in here and I'm going to show them I'm the best journalist in the world coming out of college. But I could not get out of bed. I put the outfit on.
Oh, yeah.
I had everything ready to go. And my friends, because you didn't have cell phones then, right? This is the early 90s.
Exactly.
So this is a knock at the door. Where are you? The job fair, aren't you coming? I couldn't, my resumes, I can remember it with a font, the pretty paper that I bought from the store and everything to print them out. I couldn't get out of bed because I was afraid. And at that time, it was afraid that I wasn't good enough. Afraid that I wasn't smart enough. Afraid because I wasn't ready to straighten my hair. And at the time, it felt like I still had, I was Erykah Badu, right? I thought I was. I had my shells.
Yes.
I never had a relaxer until I was 26 because my mother told me there was nothing wrong with my natural hair. But I knew I was going into this industry where Western standards of beauty were the standard of beauty. Wow. So am I going to be wasting my time going in with these braids and shells and not a whole lot of makeup? I just want to tell the stories of our people. But I put on this suit thinking I'm supposed to go like that. Yes. But I was afraid. And I remember a friend saying, but you're the editor of the newspaper. You've got a job waiting for you out there. You just have to go get it. And I think that was the first time. And I was like, why can't I get out of bed? I want to do this. I want to go. My mom sent the money for this suit. And you don't play with Ma Van's money.
Oh, exactly.
So I think over the years, I just started to recognize there are all these things that I can do. And I didn't have the same relationship with God at the time, so I didn't know how to call out and say, God, help me get out of this. I just believed, but I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know how to pray. I guess God's gonna just work this out. But I didn't know how to work it out. I didn't know that there were other steps that I had to take, which is the first step, which is just go like this and just get out the bed. So there are still some get out the bed moments. And I now at 51 versus the 20-year-old version of Portia, just know this is the illness. This is not you. So fight past this illness of self-doubt.
Yes.
Fight past this illness of feeling like you're not pretty enough, smart enough, talented enough, quippy enough, hip enough, cool enough. And just know that God has already given you everything you have. You just need to go do it for the world. Don't do it for you. If nobody else, do it for the other lady who's going to see this and say, you know what? I've been stuttering since my dad died and I never put two and two together. I've been stuttering since I lost my job and it just didn't even occur to me. And so that was the deal, if you would.
Absolutely.
And so I'm grateful because even on the days when it starts to feel like a cluttered mind, I've also learned to recognize, is this depression or is this I've put too much on my plate?
Your plate.
I'm not depressed. I did this to myself.
Exactly.
I volunteered for some stuff nobody asked me to do.
And we say yes too often to
stuff that I knew was not going to be, but when I get in because I said I was going to do. So learning how to say no without explanation and with grace has been a part of that too, because I think sometimes we might label something depression when it's just, you're doing too much, literally.
And that's the case for a lot of us. I don't want to leave this topic without us giving our viewers some tools. So Portia,
because that's why I always love having you on, because you always have actionable strategies is what I ask for. Give me an actionable strategy.
Absolutely. And I want people not to just hear our conversation, but when you give them tools, it lets them get off air and feel like, well, Portia said, these are 3 things that I can do. So can you share 3 things that our listeners and viewers can do if they are struggling with depression or cannot even I would say struggling? What are 3 things that they can do for themselves to immediately start getting some type of relief?
Admit out loud that you are not okay. And I mean, the whole it's okay to not be okay. But after that, then decide now what? So I'm going to write down what hurts. Now, I'm a writer, right? I know
Yes.
not everybody is naturally inclined to write, but you don't have to be a writer to write down what hurts.
Yes.
Write literally what hurts. Because I think when you see things in writing, it allows you to say, okay, I didn't realize I was still hurting from the divorce. I didn't realize I was still struggling with self-doubt, right? Because how could you feel like you've got a magazine, you've got a podcast, you've got women who are inspired by you, but people confuse what you have and what you do with what your heart and your mind are still dealing with. And the little girl, the 19-year-old, the 20-year-old who was in bed trying to get out and go to the first job fair, didn't know that fear was not necessarily fear of failure, it was the fear of success. And what am I gonna do if I get it right? Then do I have to do better? So write it down. What are you afraid of? After you've written it down, find a trusted confidant. Don't tell 12 people. Don't post it.
Say that again, please.
Don't share it on social, because that's going to attract either more people who are just feeling sorry for you, who aren't equipped to help you.
Yes.
Or, knew she was false flag. You know whatever it is. Find, and then go to your church, your temple, your mosque, your prayer partners, your prayer warriors, the aunties who pray for you, and say, where can I who is in your network of people who help with this? But you have to see it. And the other reason why I say to write it down is because there's so much reward in going back in my journals and reading the last entry or the entry from a few years ago and seeing how much I've grown, because that's when you have the opportunity to praise God and say, whew, I remember what that felt like. And then that's the reminder of the same God who got me through that is going to get me through this. So it's all cyclical. But even if it's just a little list, at New Year's I was at a party and the host said, write down what is standing in your way today. And write it down on these note cards and then tear it up or burn it or do whatever you're going to do with it. So they don't have to be these long proclamations of who you're going to be next. I am afraid I will not be able to get out of debt. Allows you to then say, so how much money am I spending? How much money am I wasting? And how much am I reinvesting?
Say that.
Because that's how you find your next steps. Does that answer that question? I don't know that I came up with the third, but that is.
You gave exactly what was needed. And I know that what Portia just said gave you some things to think about. So we're going to stop right here just for a moment we have to pay
these bills. Pay these bills. What are we playing?
So you're going to hear from our sponsors, and we're going to be right back because we want to let you know what Portia has done from a visual arts perspective in raising her sons to be the men that they are, even through the storm. Come right back.
Amen.
What if a magazine felt like it was made just for you? Cheryl Magazine shares powerful stories of purpose-driven women, from entrepreneurs to creatives, trailblazers and community leaders who are building legacy and changing the game. Each issue is filled with real conversations, inspiration, and insight for women who want more than just a good read. Subscribe today at CherylMagazine.com. Cheryl Magazine. It's inspiration for the everyday woman.
And we're back. I am here with Portia Bruner, and we are deep in conversation. I think it's so critical for us. We've spoken about depression and how we recognize it and what can we do. Portia, that takes me to a very special place that I want to go with you.
Okay.
I realized that you channeled all of the things that you have gone through and that you are a visual artist.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Art therapy saved my soul. And I didn't even know. So my mother painted when I was in the womb, but I never saw her paint when I was a child because she was always working. It was her quiet art therapy. She doesn't say it like that. She would never articulate. She just liked to paint. And then after I came along, she was busy and, wife and mother, so she didn't paint so much. But I have to believe that it is in the DNA.
Oh, absolutely.
So when in July of 2014, before the divorce was final, but you're sort of going through the roughest parts of, uncoupling. My girlfriend was like, so here's what we not, these are straight shooters.
Here's what we not going to do.
Here's what we not going to do. We are not going to be crying every other weekend that you do not have these kids. You are still young. You are just now 40. You're still good looking. You still got a whole life to live. Your kids are going to be fine. The dad is great. You are going to be fine. You the only one over here in a corner balled up. Paint. She's an artist. So she took some different colors of, some primary colors of acrylic paint, put on a piece of paper, folded it Rorschach style, opened it up, and put it on a big canvas and said, paint what you feel. So, of course, I went to red. And I didn't even realize, and I still have that piece. I very rarely show it. It's never been on display. I won't sell it because it was the first time I saw the colors of my heartache, my anxiety. And I was like, this is it. And so I just kept painting, and it would feel good to get it out. And Cheryl, I promise you, the first 17 pieces were dark blue, right? With some little patches of dark purple and some red because I'm angry. How did this happen? And honey, everything, you start to add more color when you start to feel free.
Yes.
When you start to feel better.
It makes a difference.
When you start to realize this was a season, this was something that just didn't work for the two of you as a husband and wife. But what God's assignment was for you to raise these two amazing sons and understand that that's okay. And sure, I think for some people it gets hard because we made this vow in front of God but did we think that it wasn't going to be a vow to bring other life in? And is that okay? Can you come to terms with that? And if you can't, keep painting until you figure it out. Because we always, God said, God said, God said. What did God say to you? What if it could be that this was how your gift was supposed to be revealed? What if this was how you were supposed to be able to have a conversation and tell somebody, listen, ironically, I'm one of the few people who can snap out of it, but that's not the key, right? That's just that's a neurological trick. Yes. What if the lesson is that you still get to tell people it's not easy as snapping out of it? You've got to write it down. You've got to find an outlet. You've got to paint. You've got to run. You've got to work out. You've got to sing. You've got to knit. You've got to write, whatever it is, whatever that other gift is that maybe you were sitting on because you were so busy being what you thought you were supposed to be.
Yes.
Maybe that's what this was part of your therapy. So the pieces, it's not like I get to paint every day, but there are some days, some nights when a piece comes to me and I try to keep a sketch pad by the bed so that I can at least sort of write it out, or I'll see an African mask driving through little 5 points. There's one every day I pass by. I'm like, I got to paint. You know what I mean? But I feel like they're just little seeds that God gives you. Just a reminder, you also have this. Just a reminder, you also have this. Go paint it.
Now, do you have a favorite piece? And have you done an exhibition yet?
I am grown enough and woman enough to admit I do not have a body of work yet that is cohesive enough to do a show. Okay. I love abstract and I love mixed media, and I'm a hoarder. So when a storm comes and breaks your patio table,
you have it.
All the pieces of glass are in a box, and guess where they end up? On little mixed media pieces called most recent one was Holding It Together in the Storm. Because I can see art in almost anything. Branch comes down, break it up. That's going to be the texture in your piece. If it's something that's supposed to be, have some layers to it. I can't say that I have a favorite one, but I do have pieces that connect so much so that if they sell, I did one piece and it was an unk, and it was the first time I'd really been able to really draw very clearly and in an abstract way some Adinkra symbols from our West African ancestors. And I was like, this looks good. No, somebody else is gonna like this too. and put it out there for the criticism and for the feedback. And if it sells, that's cool, right? We're not going to pretend like you don't want it to move. But there are some where I'm like, that represented a growth in my work as an artist, and I have art mentors who keep encouraging me, don't let this show business thing take over.
Yes.
Don't forget that this gift is yours too. But I do have a few, and those ironically, except for that first piece, most of my favorites are the ones that end up selling.
Well, we want to make sure that we support you because I hear and feel art exhibits.
Oh, I thank you. I'm always excited to be accepted into when you submit pieces and you wait. You're like, wait, it's like waiting to hear if you got into college again. When you find out that a piece has been accepted into a show, and I love being in art shows, and I love the group exhibits because you find so many common narratives of women just trying to heal through art therapy.
Now, Portia, you spoke about your sons and your relationship. Share that with us. Like, what has the transition been like, and how did they grow from their mom growing, and are they interested in art since it was passed down from you and your mom?
So, listen, I guess to a certain extent, they got the best of me and their father.
Okay.
So, while I am rhythmically challenged, because they heard African drums in my womb, because at the time we were attending a church that was infused with our ancestry, they came out of the womb and crawled up to djembe drums, and now they play them. And my older son actually also, he can play the traditional drum kit, he can play djembe, he can play dundun, they can play African drums. So they are artists in their own right.
Yes.
My younger son, my 16-year-old, was a bit of a thespian in middle school, but then when he finally, got out of flag football and put on those pads, he's 6'2", 260. It was going to be hard to convince him to, keep acting.
Exactly.
He's like, Mom, I need these pads. So he is, they're athletes and they're musicians. But I think what I love, and they're great scholars, right? They're all the things you say you want your children to be if they have all these skills and abilities to do so. But I think what I love most about my sons is the compassion that they have learned from watching me and their father. And I try to be very protective and respectful of their father's privacy and space. But they have learned from both of us what heartache looks like and what pushing past a season looks like. And because their father and I have been able to model, okay, we're going to this game together.
Yes.
We're it's graduation. We all gonna be at one house. We're not doing 2 graduation parties because we both too cheap for that. No, we're not doing that.
Okay.
You at the house with the basement, we'll be over there. You know what I mean? So I think that they have learned how relationships change, but how the common denominator is family. And I think for a while, I did not want them I remember the first night I had to come home after that October 2017 event. I was trying to be quiet because I didn't want them to ask what was wrong. But I did have to tell their father because I needed to tell him, okay, I'm going to be at home for a few days. So, and he's very compassionate, and they came over, they brought ice cream. He came, and they were younger at that time, right? So he got ice cream, they came over, and we sat and talked. Mom's going to be sitting down for a while because Mom is kind of stuttering. And they were like, oh, we thought you were just being funny. Right? And so it was just, I'm thinking it's going to be this serious moment. And they're going to think, but that's because, again, I was in my head.
Exactly.
They were like, okay, well, we really can't hear it, but here's some ice cream. We got to get some ice cream because of it. So I think they have learned. And as I got older and as they got older, I think it also opened up a space to be able to talk about when you're not feeling good. And so, we, as a family,
yes,
my sons and I ended up, having conversations with therapists. And I don't know why people have such a hard time saying going to therapy. So let me restate that. We went to therapy.
Exactly.
But
you just set somebody free just now.
Right.
Just so you know.
Go on every single camera. Go to therapy.
Yes.
Because God gave therapists a gift.
Yes.
To help us unpack things that we sitting in here messing with the buckles on the luggage, right? That's how old my luggage is, right? Who got buckles on luggage? trying to unpack luggage. Let the therapist unpack it, open it up, and just start throwing out what's there. And so I love that my sons are so compassionate. Sometimes, you know how you ear hustle in conversations?
Oh,
You
yeah.
just happen to be folding clothes. You weren't being nosy. And you hear them having helpful conversations with their friends.
Oh, yes.
Where they're saying, well, you know, what they need to hear, but also being firm and friendly and giving space. And from their father, their love for, because they, trying to be careful here, but they ended up going to church with dad, even on my custodial Sundays, because what mom is going to say, nah, it's my Sunday. He can't go, they can't go to church with the dad. Daddy trying to take the children to church. Okay, I'll be here when you get back.
Exactly.
I'll be in a car balled up, right? Oh, I got an idea. Take your behind the church too, Portia.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? Like, they got to see all of that.
Yes.
And so they're both, you know, my youngest son works at a church here in Metro Atlanta. He's in the youth ministry. Before my son went off to Tuskegee, he was the drummer for, you know, different churches around town. And now he's got a little, you know, Saturday's Bible study that he goes to. So it was watching what God did with the best that God gave both of us. Their father was a Sunday school teacher.
Yes.
And so seeing that, modeling what the best of ourselves looks like, even if we couldn't quite figure out how to make the best of ourselves work together has been good for them. And I'm so grateful to God that they got that. Now I gotta be honest, one of them is a hothead like their mama, but they're both delightfully goofy as well. So it all works out.
Look, it all works out. Portia, I have had such an amazing conversation, but guess what? It's not at an end. I have 3 things that I want to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
In this season of your amazing life and all that you have accomplished, what does it mean to you to be ageless?
Ageless in this season. We're going to be really honest.
Please.
Really honest.
We need that.
Ageless is looking at these changes in my face that I wasn't expecting. I knew it was going to come, but I was like, my mama didn't start to wrinkle till she was whatever. So ageless, if I can be honest, is looking at here and saying, it's okay. It's okay that it's not tight anymore. It's okay that that hairline is hairlining and running faster than FloJo from your nose. It's okay because getting older is God's way of saying, I've got more for you to do. And that doesn't mean, I sometimes hesitate to say that publicly because I don't want it to suggest that those who have gone before us at younger ages didn't have more. I don't know how to reconcile that part. I just know that I'm supposed to be grateful for every day that God taps me and says, get up. You got 2 shows to do today, 2 sons to nurture from afar, whether they're here under the house or at Tuskegee University and at high school on a football field or taking tests. Get up. There are women who are looking to hear from you. And I've given you something that I want to share. So I think ageless is being comfortable with what aging looks like and feels like. I don't know why my knees keep popping. I'm not going to say it's Arthur.
Me too.
I'm going to say it's Taekwondo knee from college. Because that sounds so much hipper, right?
So much
but that thing, I'm like, it sounds like Rice Krispies in here. And I feel some type of way when you get that little cramp where you have to have the mustard packet. and you're like, ah. And then if there's nobody there to stretch it out.
No.
And you're like, goodness. I guess we just going to be cramped up here for about.
Both of us going like,
right, husband tugging.
Yes.
But guess what? Then it went away and we got to get out of bed and keep walking. And so that's the reminder. While it's hurting, I'm like, and you ran out of mustard packets, so you can't do the mustard trick real quick. But it's going to pass. And that's the reminder. All of this passes.
It does.
All of it. My husband and I were on the phone the other day trying to figure out, okay, so are you going to go pick them up? Are we taking my truck or yours? Or do you have to work? Or can I get out? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to work the way you thought it was going to.
And it still works out.
And it still works out.
That's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
So that's the ageless part, is getting used to this, because watching yourself grow
I understand.
Older on TV is when you're feeling like, because deep in the back of my mind, I'm still like, but if I just went like this, then I'd still look like I'm in my 40s.
But you still fly. You still fly, and it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You look amazing.
I appreciate it.
We discussed a lot of different topics that require you to be fearless.
Can I admit, that's still the trickiest part, Cheryl. That's still the trickiest part. I can know that this fear is an illusion. I can know that the same God that showed up for everything else is going to show up for this and still spin out in my mind. And then be like, why are you spinning out in your mind? You already know how this goes. Walk like you believe. And so in my 20s, I learned, when I was living in D.C. and walking around Haynes Point, when you can still, afford to live in Haynes Point, different days, I picked up this thing from a Jan Van Zant in Acts of Faith. Faith is knowing that when you come to the end of the darkness, that the light that you know, faith is knowing that one of three things are going to happen. One, there will be something for you to stand on. Two, you will learn how to fly. And three, because 51 is 51 and I can't remember it. But there was just this understanding that it was going to work out if you just kept walking. And if you learn to want it more than you fear it, because that fear is strong, right? If you can rechannel that fear into your faith and to the drive to get up and start that business, to go fill out the LLC paperwork, the first step, then stop being intimidated because there were so many little lines on there that you didn't know the answer to, and I don't know what that means. That's the part where you write it down. I'm afraid to start the business because I don't know where to start. Find a business consultant. Find a friend who started a small business, who then walks you through the Secretary of State's website. That's what I had to do to start Portia Page 2. Because people were wanting the art, and you can't just be selling it and not telling that you're making some money in these positions, because you know who's going to come for you.
You do, and you don't want that.
So you have to I try to just make sure that the desire to do what God would have me to do is greater than the fear. And my fear can be really big. My fear can be 5'8", 180 pounds of big. And I just have to get to the pound over that with the faith and say, not today. Not today. We ain't never scared. We always scared, but we ain't gonna be so scared. Anyway. Do it scared. Who said that? Scared. I always feel like I have to attribute quotes because
who says scared?
I don't know.
Well, we're saying it today.
So we're saying
do it scared.
Do it scared.
So as a part of doing it scared, that means that we have to do some things unscripted. What does that mean to you to lead an unscripted
As we wrap it,
life?
I love how you bring this on home. I love it. I mean, boom, boom, boom. I loved watching you produce this show. This is fantastic. Yeah, you're just so talented and so well curated. Doing it unscripted for somebody who has spent their life writing in deadlines and writing scripts very quickly and having to do interviews, process the information, and turn it around in 90 seconds for general assignment reporting purposes, maybe 2.5 minutes when I was a consumer reporter, because you get a little bit more time. I had to realize that the scripts were going to come if you just go back to what you know, write it down, but learn the lesson. Don't just write to be writing. What is this? What am I getting in this space? Even learning how your crew moves, how you all interact, right? What am I getting in this space of learning today when I wasn't sure, what if I miss the flight and I don't make it here? I don't want to let Cheryl down, right? What if instead of thinking, what if I miss the flight, instead of spinning on that, what if I unscript the fear and write, I'm going to make it to Cheryl's podcast today.
Yes.
After I land at 6 a.m., go home, find out that the water heater has busted, and I got to make a call to a contractor. We're not going to spiral out on that. It's just some water. Ain't nothing ruined, right? Mama's China is not messed up.
Right.
We're going to make the calls that have to be made, go on into work, do the work you have to do, and show up for Cheryl, because showing up for Cheryl means showing up for women who come for you to pour into them when they're struggling, right? So what if I unscript the fear and rescript what the purpose is? Cheryl asked you to share. And you told God in 2017, God, if you restore my speech and show me a way to work through my disfluencies when I get scared, nervous, depressed, anxious, fearful, that I would tell. So rewrite the script, or don't have a script and just speak from the heart. I didn't have a script, but when you told me in pre-production that I had to go back to what did I say, and I was like, okay, well, if you don't remember it, then what? What if God just puts on your heart the version that God scripted?
Yes. And that's why this time that we had is so important, because I know that people listening and viewing us right now who felt like their life had to be so scripted, what you just said was so powerful to them to change what we're saying to ourselves. I have one final question, and what I would love when you answer the question is if you could look directly in this camera, because somebody listening and looking right now, they need to feel, see, and hear Portia's heart. Portia, for anyone listening who feels like they lost their voice, emotionally, spiritually, or even literally, what would you say to remind them that they can still be heard, healed, and whole?
God, I thank you. You did not lose your voice. You just can't see it. You can't hear it. You did not lose your vision. Your sight is just kind of blurry right now because you're in this storm and you can't see past what you feel like is the end. You haven't lost anything. God is just putting some more pressure on you to strengthen you for the way of the blessing that's coming next. So I know you feel like you've lost it. I know you feel like you won't be able to get it back. I know you feel like you're supposed to show the world something that matches what you've been showing them on social media or showing your family or showing because you think that it's let go of all that you think that you have lost and that you're supposed to show, and just ask God, what would you have me to do next? I am naked, I am bare, I am confused, I don't know how to get out of this bed, but I know, God, that there is more for me. If you can remember to say some version of that, I assure you, you haven't lost it. And God hasn't turned God's back on you. You just need to resituate yourself and see if you can feel that God may be touching you someplace else. And that God may be pushing you to move in a direction that you think wasn't a part of your script. Let go of the script and open your heart and your hands. Your hands you can't receive, you can't hold anything with your hands closed tight. The same thing for your heart. Open your hands, open your heart, and just trust and believe that God has something for you, even if you don't know what it is. Trust that the same God that got you out of the last set of circumstances wants you to open your hands and your heart to what God has for you next, because this trial that you're going through, you're about to be so much stronger than you. And you won't even believe what God has next. You haven't lost it. It's still there. It's still there.
Sister, I appreciate you because you are still here.
Thank
I
you, God.
adore you. I thank you for
Thank
being my sister, my friend, for taking my calls, for saying yes. I know that you touched lives today because you certainly touched mine by your smile and by how you love on me unconditionally. Thank you for
Absolutely.
being here.
I thank you. And can I just thank the little girl Cheryl, whatever little girl Cheryl got through, yes. And whatever 20-something Cheryl got through, yes. And whatever 30-something, we spend so much time looking into the eyes of the X something versions of us, right? I like to remind women to thank the girl who got you here because she was mighty too. So I thank you for the lessons that little Cheryl gave Dr. Cheryl Paloch Williamson to share with all of us. We're listening, we're learning, and we are in class, and we love you for teaching us, the little girls, the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, the 40-somethings, the 50-somethings, and beyond.
We're going to say goodbye to our audience. I thank you for being a part of the show today. You know what? This wasn't a show today. This was a conversation. This was an enlightening moment for you to look and see and be everything that you're supposed to be. So I thank you for being a part of Ageless, Fearless, and Unscripted.
Unscripted. Yeah, I thank you.
Because that's where your life begins. When you realize that you don't have to always be scripted. So I thank you for joining me. Portia, I love you, and we love you.